Should all versions of speech be protected as free speech? Ladies and gentlemen, today we confront a question that lies at the very heart of democratic society. Should all versions of speech be protected as free speech? This question isn't just theoretical, it is one that impacts our daily, everyday lives, shaping the way we interact with others, the media, and the world around us. Free speech is a fundamental right, but like all rights, it comes with responsibilities and limitations. So let's explore the complexities of this issue and ask ourselves, when does free speech cross the line? The importance of free speech. To begin, we must first understand the importance of free speech. Free speech is the cornerstone of democracy. It allows us to express our opinions, challenge authority, and engage in open debate. Without free speech, we cannot have a free society. It empowers individuals to speak truth to power, advocate for change, and protect minority views from being silenced by the majority. In the United States, the First Amendment guarantees that Congress shall make no abridging the freedom of speech. This protection extends to a wide range of expressions, from political speeches to artistic endeavors, from religious practices to personal opinions. It's a broad and powerful protection, one that ensures people can speak their minds without fear of government censorship. But as we all know, freedom of speech isn't absolute. There are debates and challenges about where to draw the line. Is there a point where speech can become harmful or dangerous? And if so, should it still be protected? The case for absolute free speech. There are those who argue that all speech, no matter how controversial or offensive, should be protected. Their reasoning is rooted in the belief that freedom of expression is too important to limit. In this view, even speech that is unpopular, offensive, or harmful must be allowed to ensure that individuals can express themselves without fear of retribution. After all, once we begin to limit speech, where do we stop? The argument for absolute free speech also emphasizes the importance of the marketplace of ideas. In a free society, all ideas, even those that are controversial or unpopular, should be allowed to compete for attention. If we start censoring speech, we risk silencing voices that may offer valuable perspectives or challenge societal norms. Even offensive or hateful speech can spark debate and lead to greater understanding. Moreover, proponents of absolute free speech often argue that the solution to harmful speech is not censorship, but more speech. If someone expresses an offensive or harmful opinion, the proper response is to counter that opinion with better arguments, not to silence the speaker. In this view, the best way to combat bad ideas is through open, vigorous debate. The case against absolute free speech. On the other hand, there are compelling arguments for placing limits on certain types of speech. While free speech is crucial, it is not without consequences. There are forms of speech that can cause harm to individuals, groups, or society as a whole. These forms of speech, many argue, should not be protected. One of the most common limitations on free speech is the prohibition of hate speech. Hate speech includes any speech, gesture, conduct, writing, or display that incites violence or prejudices against individuals or groups based on race, religion, gender, or other protected characteristics. Proponents of limiting hate speech argue that allowing such speech to flourish leads to division, violence, and social unrest. By curbing hate speech, societies can foster more inclusive, peaceful environments where people are not targeted based on their identity. Another limitation is speech that incites violence. While it's important to protect individuals' right to express their opinions, speech that directly incites violence, whether it's promoting terrorism, advocating for the overthrow of the government, or encouraging harm against others, crosses a line. In these cases, the harm caused by the speech outweighs the individual's right to express themselves. Free speech should not extend to speech that puts people's lives or safety at risk. Furthermore, there is defamation and libel, which involves spreading false information that damages someone's reputation. In many legal systems, including in the U.S., individuals have the right to sue for defamation if someone spreads harmful lies about them. This type of speech can cause lasting harm to individuals' personal and professional lives. Many argue that it should not be protected under free speech. The role of social media and technology. In the digital age, the question of free speech becomes even more complicated. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube provide unprecedented access to public forums where individuals can express their views to millions of people. While this has democratized speech, it has also led to the spread of harmful and misleading content, from conspiracy theories to hate speech to calls for violence. Social media platforms are not government entities, so they are not bound by the same constitutional protections as the state. However, their role in moderating speech raises difficult questions about censorship and free expression. Should these platforms be allowed to censor speech that violates their guidelines, or should they be forced to allow all speech regardless of its potential harm? Some argue that social media companies as private entities have the right to set their own rules and enforce them. Others believe that these platforms, because of their influence, should be more transparent and accountable for the content they allow. This debate is ongoing and complex, but it underscores the challenges we face in balancing free speech with the need to protect individuals and society from harm. The global perspective. It's also important to note that different countries have different standards for free speech. In the U.S., the First Amendment offers broad protections for speech, but other countries have stricter laws. For example, in Germany, laws against hate speech and Holocaust denial are designed to prevent the spread of dangerous ideologies that could lead to harm. In the UK, speech that incites violence or promotes terrorism is subject to criminal penalties. These differences reflect the varying cultural and historical context in which free speech operates. The U.S. emphasizes individual rights and broad protections. Other nations may prioritize social harmony and the prevention of harm over unrestricted speech. Conclusion. Finding the balance. So, should all versions of speech be protected as free speech? The answer is not simple. On one hand, free speech is a fundamental right that underpins democracy, encourages the exchange of ideas, and protects individual autonomy. On the other hand, there are forms of speech that can cause harm to individuals, communities, and society as a whole. The challenge is finding a balance between protecting the right to express ideas freely and ensuring that speech does not cause harm or incite violence. It's a delicate balance that requires careful consideration of the context, the potential consequences, and the values we hold as a society. In the end, while free speech is essential, it is not without limits. The question we must ask ourselves is not whether all speech should be protected, but rather how we can protect free speech while also safeguarding the well-being and safety of individuals and society. Thank you.